The cold steel of the gavel slammed down like a guillotine. But it was the smirk on Marcus's face that really killed me, my fiancé. The man I'd built an empire with. Sealing my fate in that godforsaken courtroom with forged documents that stripped me of everything. I remember the taste of blood in my mouth from biting my tongue too hard. The jury's averted eyes as the verdict echoed, guilty of embezzlement. A lie so bold it burned hotter than the pills I swallowed that night in the holding cell. Chasing oblivion with a bottle of cheap bourbon. But death wasn't the end. It was a goddamn reset button. My eyes snapping open to the sterile hum of my old alarm clock in my Mission District loft. 3 years earlier. Heart pounding like I'd just clawed out of a grave, because I had. I bolted upright in bed. Sheets tangled around my legs like restraints from that final nightmare. The digital clock glowed 6:47 a.m. July 15th, 2022. Exact date I'd marked in my planner as the big pivot, the day Marcus convinced me to bring in outside investors for Delilah Dynamics, our AI startup that was on the cusp of revolutionizing predictive analytics for Wall Street. My hands, unscarred, nails not bitten to the quick from months in county lockup, trembled as I touched my face. 28 years old again.
No divorce papers.
No felony record. No empty bottle rolling under the bunk. Delilah?
Babe.
You okay? Marcus's voice slurred from the bathroom. The door cracked open. Steam curling out like cigarette smoke from a bad habit I hadn't kicked yet. He emerged shirtless. Towel slung low on his hips. That boyish grin plastered on like it was still charming. In my old life, it had been our meet cute at a TechCrunch disruptor panel. Him the slick venture capitalist with Ivy League polish. Me the scrappy coder from a trailer park in Reno. We'd fused dreams into Delilah Dynamics over late-night burritos and venture decks.
But now?
Every word from his mouth tasted like arsenic. Yeah. Just. Weird dream, I muttered, forcing a smile as I swung my legs over the bed. My reflection in the vanity mirror stared back, fierce green eyes. Chestnut hair in a messy bun. The kind of face that closed deals because it screamed, "Trust me, I'm one of you." But inside, rage simmered. A volcano recalibrating. I knew what came next, the board meeting tomorrow, where Marcus would slide in Elena Voss as our new CEO. Poached from Google with promises of equity he had no right to dangle. She'd gut the company from the inside, funneling IP to his offshore accounts while painting me as the unstable founder. And me? Fired on day one. Blackballed. Then framed for the creative accounting that was really his laundering scheme. Not this time. I slipped into yoga pants and a tank, grabbing my laptop before he could pull me back into bed. Gotta hit the gym early. Crunch those numbers for the pitch. He nodded. Oblivious. Already scrolling emails on his phone, probably sweet-talking Elena right then. Asshole. The streets of San Francisco buzzed with that pre-dawn fog. Ubers honking past food trucks slinging churros to bleary-eyed coders. I ducked into my favorite spot, a hole-in-the-wall coffee joint called Brewed Awakening, where the barista, Jamal, knew my order, black Americano. Extra shot. No foam. As he handed it over, I pulled up my secret server, the one I'd buried in the code 3 years ago. A backdoor I'd built as a just-in-case for data integrity. Turns out, it was my ace in the hole. Lines of code scrolled like prophecies, transaction logs Marcus thought he'd scrubbed, emails to Elena time-stamped months before our official search. Proof. But revenge wasn't a data dump, it was a scalpel. I needed to play this slow. Let the betrayal unfold just enough to trap them all. First move, fortify my shares. In the old timeline, I'd signed over 15% to Marcus for partnership equity. This time, I'd lawyer up quietly, amend the bylaws to lock my 51% controlling interest in a blind trust, irrevocable, hidden behind layers of Delaware core. By noon, I'd wired a retainer to a shark named Rita Vasquez, a cutthroat attorney who'd once repped me pro bono in a patent squabble. "Make it ironclad," I texted. "No one touches the Queen's throne." Back at the loft, Marcus was suited up, Tom Ford crisp, kissing my cheek like we were still that power couple gracing Forbes 30 under 30. "Today's the day.
Del.
Elena's gonna skyrocket us." I nodded, throat tight, remembering how her skyrocketing involved slashing my team, poaching my algorithms, and leaking my erratic behavior to the press. The drive to our Soma office was a blur of Bay Bridge traffic, his hand on my thigh a mockery of intimacy. I gripped the wheel harder, visions flashing, the courtroom, the pills, the noose of despair tightening. The boardroom overlooked the Embarcadero, sunlight glinting off ferries like diamonds on water. Elena Voss arrived fashionably late, a vision in Lululemon powerwear, blonde bob, Pilates-sculpted arms, that predatory smile honed in Mountain View boardrooms. Handshakes all around, then the pitch, her vision for scaling, buzzwords flying like confetti. Marcus beamed, his foot nudging mine under the table, a signal in the old days. Now a trigger. I played along, nodding thoughtfully, until the vote. Unanimous. Elena Voss, CEO effective immediately. Delilah, thrilled to have you transitioning to Chief Innovation Officer, she purred, sliding a contract across the table. Transition. Code for demotion. I scanned it. Reduce salary. Veto power on my own R&D. My pen hovered, heart thundering. In the old life, I'd signed blind faith in Marcus.
Now,
I set it down gently. Actually,
Elena.
Let's chat one-on-one after. Got some founder insights to share. Her eyes narrowed fractionally, but she agreed. Marcus shot me a thumbs up. Clueless. The meeting wrapped, team dispersing to cubicles humming with code. I lingered, sipping water from a glass that tasted like regret. Elena's office, my old office, overlooked the chaos of Salesforce tower construction. She perched on the desk, legs crossed, waiting. Look, Delilah, I know founders get attached, but scaling means pros at the helm. You'll thrive in innovation, less admin. More blue sky. Her tone dripped condescension, the kind that made VCs cream their khakis. I leaned against the doorframe. Casual. Pros like you? The one who tanked that Neuralink spinoff with your innovative data pivots. Her smile faltered. I'd done my homework in the coffee shop, her failures buried in SEC footnotes. Or the one who funneled ad revenue from that Google side hustle into a shell company. Marcus mentioned you're discreet with partnerships. Elena's fingers tightened on her desk edge. Excuse me? Time to drop the bomb. I pulled on my phone, the amended shareholder docs glowing. See? Here's the fun part. As of 10 a.m. today, my controlling interest in Delilah Dynamics is locked in a trust. 51%. Irrevocable. And your shiny new CEO title? Contingent on my sign-off. I tapped send on an email to the board, CCNG Rita, with the works, Marcus's emails, the offshore wires, Elena's pre-hire consulting fees that smelled like kickbacks. She laughed, sharp and brittle.
Bluff.
Marcus controls the board. Does he? I stepped closer. Voice low. Ask him about the clause I buried in the original incorporation. Or better, check your inbox. Her phone buzzed. Face drained of color. The termination letter she'd prepped for me?
Void.
Instead, a board resolution. Elena Voss, probationary CEO, under direct oversight of founder Delilah Kane. You bitch, she hissed. But there was fear under it.
Good.
In the old life, she'd fired me day one. Right here. With Marcus nodding along. You're done. We'll sue. Try it. I smiled, cold as the fog rolling in. But first, explain to the SEC why your efficiency plan mirrors Marcus's laundering playbook. Or we can. Collaborate. Controversial? Hell yes. Blackmail wasn't pretty, but neither was dying for their greed. She froze, calculating. I left her there, door clicking shut like a coffin lid. Word spread fast. By lunch, whispers in the break room. Dell's claws are out. Jamal texted from the coffee shop. Heard you slayed the dragon. Extra shot on me. I grabbed a salad from the truck, kale and quinoa, the Silicon Valley sacrament, and holed up in a conference room, plotting phase 2. Marcus. The real snake. That night, over takeout pad thai in a loft, he probed gently. Elena's rattled. What did you say? His eyes searched mine, that faux concern masking panic. I twirled noodles. Casual. Just girl talk. She's got vision, but needs guidance. He relaxed, pouring wine Cabernet from Napa, our victory vintage. I sipped, remembering how he'd toasted my retirement in the old timeline, right before the frame job. We made love that night. Mechanical, on my end. A reconnaissance mission. His phone buzzed on the nightstand. Elena's name. I waited till he slept, snoring softly, then slipped it free. Password. Our anniversary. Pathetic. Messages unspooling like a noose. Handled Delilah quietly. Wires incoming. She's suspicious. Speed up the pivot. Photos too, him and her. Tangled in a Ritz-Carlton suite. Time-stamped last month. Rage boiled. But I breathed it down. Evidence mounted. Tomorrow, I'd leak just enough to the board to force a special audit. Anonymous tip. Funneled through Rita. But Marcus? He deserved the personal touch. A decision loomed. Controversial as hell. Expose him publicly. Torch the company and our lives. Or carve him out surgically. Let him rot in a cage of his own making. The latter. Mercy was for suckers. Precision was power. Weak blurred into strategy. Elena played nice. Her probation meetings laced with barbs. But I countered with metrics. Our AI model's accuracy spiking 12% under my tweaks. Deals closing faster without her meddling. The board noticed. Murmurs of Delilah's back echoed in Slack channels. Marcus grew twitchy. Late nights networking. Cologne sharper. Excuses thinner. I mirrored him. Galas at the Fairmont. Schmoozing VCs with Rita in tow. Securing bridge funding tied to my control. Power shifted like sand underfoot. Then the crack appeared. A whistleblower email hit my inbox, anonymous. But the IP traced to Jamal's coffee shop. Inside, USB drive with server logs. Marcus's digital fingerprints on the IP theft. Saw you this morning. Figured you could use this. Burn him.
Jamal.
My quiet ally. The barista who'd slipped me investor tips over lattes. I met him at midnight, fog thick as secrets, handing over cash and a nod. You're on payroll now. Comms director. With that, the trap sprung. I scheduled the all-hands. Transparency Thursday. The auditorium in our expanded office, now a gleaming campus in Mission, filled with 200 souls. Pizza steaming on tables. Marcus fidgeted beside me on stage. Elena in the wings.
Pale.
I stepped to the mic. Projector humming. Folks, Delilah Dynamics isn't just code, it's trust. And lately, that's been tested. Slides dropped. Emails. Wires. Timelines. Gasps rippled. Marcus's face crumpled. Denials dying on his lips. This is a misunderstanding. I cut him off. Voice steel.
No.
Marcus. It's betrayal. You and Elena plotted to steal what we built. For what? A quick flip to Chinese VCs? Offshore yachts. A chaos erupted. HR swarming. Lawyers dialing. Elena bolted for the exit. Security, my new hires, blocked her. Marcus grabbed my arm, whispering frantic. Del.
Please. We can fix this.
I love you.
Love.
The word twisted like a knife. In the old life, I'd begged him the same in that courtroom. Tears streaming, only for him to turn away. Now, I wrenched free. Mike live. Love, you killed me with it. The room froze. Slip of the tongue or truth bleeding out. Cops arrived by evening. Cuffs clicking on wrists. Elena spat venom. You'll regret this. Libel suits incoming. Marcus. Eyes hollow. Mouthed sorry, as they let him out. I didn't look back. The board convened emergency. By dawn, resolutions passed me.
Soliceo.
Shares revest. But victory tasted like ash. Months ground on. A grindstone sharpening my edges. San Francisco's relentless churn, rain-slicked streets, TED Talks droning in lofts, mirrored my reinvention. Delilah Dynamics soared, Series C at 200 mil valuation, AI patents stacking like armor. I moved penthouse. Views of the Golden Gate, mocking the bridges I'd burned. Jamal ran comms like a maestro, spinning the scandal into a founder's redemption arc for Wired. Delilah Kane, the woman who outsmarted Silicon Valley's snakes. Headlines buzzed. Podcasts begged interviews. I obliged selectively. Voice steady. Dropping just enough shade to keep Marcus and Elena's trials trending. But ghosts lingered. Nightmares of the courtroom bled into board calls. Marcus's smirk morphing into my reflection. Therapy? A joke.
Dr.
Ellis, with her essential oils and process your trauma, got the surface. Betrayal reshapes identity. Bullshit. I process with code. Algorithms predicting rival moves. Firewalls against leaks. Controversial calls piled up. I poached Elena's star engineer. A kid named Ravi, with a fat bonus and NDA ironclad enough to choke a horse. Ethical gray?
Sure.
But in the valley, loyalty was currency, and I'd been bankrupt. Rita warned me over martinis at the top of the mark. You're playing God.
Del.
One slip, and the DOJ circles back, insider trading vibes on that share lock. She was right. The feds had questions post-arrest. Subpoenas sniffing my timely trust amendments. I stonewalled with smiles. Evidence vaults sealed tighter than Fort Knox. But the real pressure built from within, the team. Whispers in the kitchen. Is she paranoid? Cutting corners on that ethos contract. Ethos. Our crown jewel. Ethical AI for finance. Irony thick as fog. I'd greenlit a backdoor for audits, a echo of my old paranoia. Necessary? For revenge's sake. Yes. But it gnawed. Marcus's trial hit like a tech crash. Federal courthouse in the Civic Center. Paparazzi swarming like drones. I testified. Perched in the box. His eyes pleading across the aisle. He forged my signature on the equity transfer. I said, voice even, handing over the originals, my reborn ace. The prosecutor grilled. And your relationship? Motive for leniency. I met the jury's gaze. Love doesn't blind justice. It demands it. Gasps from the gallery. Elena's lawyer objecting furiously. But the evidence mounted. Wire transfers to Cayman shells. Her consulting invoices matching his bribes. Guilty on all counts: fraud, conspiracy. 20 years apiece. Outside. Rain lashed the steps. Reporters thrust mics. Revenge or redemption? M's. Kane. I paused. Lightning cracking over Coit Tower. Both. Always both. Flashbulbs popped. But inside. Hollow. I'd won the war. But the battlefield scarred me. Trust evaporated. Nights solitary with takeout and screens. Jamal noticed. Pulling me aside post-verdict bash at the Battery. Boss. You're a ghost. Live a little, date. Dance. Something not coded in Python. Date? The word soured. My old life flashed. Marcus's ring. Fake as his vows. No. But Jamal's nudge cracked the shell. Enter Theo Reyes. A journalist from The Intercept. Sharp jaw. Eyes like polished obsidian. Who'd covered the trial with brutal fairness. We met off-record at a dive in the Tenderloin, neon buzzing. Jukebox crooning Springsteen. You're not what I expected, he said over IPAs. Notebook absent. Most CEOs dodge the dirt. I'm not most. We talked, really talked. Reno roots. Code as poetry. The ache of betrayal. His stories grounded me. Immigrant parents in Oakland, chasing the dream amid evictions. Sparks flew.
Tentative.
His hand brushing mine across the scarred bar top. First kiss in the alley. Rain mixing with laughter. Felt like resurrection. Not love, yet, but possibility. A balm on wounds. Still. Shadows crept. Out on bail pending appeal. Launched a smear. Anonymous leaks to Bloomberg. Delilah Kane's ruthless purge. Ethics be damned. Stocks dipped 3%. VCs hedged. I countered with transparency. Open sourcing minor code. Town halls raw as open wounds. But the real twist brewed in the dark. I encrypted drive from Marcus's effects. Seized by feds. Forwarded to me via Rita. Read at your peril, she texted. I did. Alone in the penthouse. City lights blurring through tears. Files unspooling. Not just fraud, but deeper. My embezzlement in the old timeline? A setup. Yes, but rooted in something I'd buried. College days. Pre-Delilah Dynamics, a startup flop. Code I'd lifted from a prof at Berkeley, tweaked into my first app. Minor theft. But Marcus knew, dug it up during diligence, used it as leverage. Our secret, he'd whispered, turning it into chains. Worse, the accident. My sister, Lila, dead at 22 in a Reno crash. DUI pinned on me as the passenger. I'd walked away. Guilt my shadow. But the drive? Forged police report. Marcus's contact bribing the coroner to bury toxicology. Lila sober. Me the driver. Blacked out on grief and pills after mom's cancer. He hadn't just betrayed me. He'd weaponized my pain. Twisted my sister's grave into his narrative. Unstable Delilah. Always one crash from ruin. The room spun. Bourbon burning my throat. Not oblivion this time. But fuel. This wasn't revenge. It was excavation. I'd suffered for his sins. Died for his ambition. Now, full exposure. Controversial to the core. Drag Lila's memory through courts. Shatter the family lie I'd clung to? Yes. For truth. For her. I called Theo at 3 a.m., voice cracking. Need you. All of it. He came. No questions. Holding me as sobs racked. First real vulnerability since rebirth. Dawn broke. Us plotting over coffee, his bylines, my testimony. Leak the drive to him. Frame it as the lies that built an empire. But Elena's appeal loomed. She'd subpoena everything. Drag my skeletons out. Risky. You sure? Theo asked. Fingers laced with mine. I nodded.
Fierce.
No more graves. The leak dropped mid-trial reconvene. Theo's piece. Front page digital firestorm. Kane versus Voss, a sister's secret and silicon betrayal. Details raw. The crash report. Marcus's bribes. My lifted code as youthful folly. Not fraud. Public roared. Justice for Lila trending. Protests outside the courthouse with signs. Truth over tech. Elena's lawyer scrambled. Her bail revoked mid-objection. Marcus, from his cell, sent a smuggled note via Rita. You win. End this. I burned it. Ashes scattering in the bay wind. Climax crashed like a server overload. Emergency board meeting. Feds in suits. Press caged outside. I stood at the head. Theo's article projected. My face. Younger. With Lila at graduation. Arms linked. This company was born from loss. I thought Marcus shared it. He exploited it. Tears fell. Unscripted. Board gasped. Then nodded. Resolutions flying. Full exoneration. Memorial fund for road safety in Lila's name. Stocks rebounded 8%. VCs doubled down. Elena's appeal crumbled. Plea deal. 10 years. Marcus? Full term. No mercy. But the twist gutted me. Post-verdict. Rita's call. The drive?
Partial.
Marcus had a daughter. Yours.
Dell.
Frozen embryo from our IVF rounds. He planned to claim it. Raise her on your dime. Post-frame. Embryo. A child I'd mourned as miscarriage. His lie to keep me hooked. Rage warred with grief. Our future family. Weaponized. I stormed the prison. Glass partition cold between us. Why? He leaned in. Hollow. Power. You were too strong. Had to break you. I walked out. Decision crystallizing. Destroy the embryos. Controversial? Utterly life unmade. Whispers of monster in my wake. But his legacy?
Erased.
Sign the papers at the clinic. Theo waiting in the hall. You okay?
No.
But free. Rebirth's afterglow faded into the grind of empire. Delilah Dynamics hit unicorn status by spring. AI ethics sweet license to the Fed. Boardrooms from DC to Dubai chanting my name. I keynote at Collision. Stage lights hot. Crowd roaring as I unveiled Lilagard, crash prediction tech, donating proceeds to DUI prevention. Applause thundered.
But inside,
Echoes. Marcus's whisper. Elena's hiss. The vial of pills I'd flushed down the penthouse sink. Victory was a crown of thorns, sharp, unyielding. Theo anchored me, our rhythm syncing like well-tuned code. Weekends in Big Sur. Hiking redwoods that dwarfed grudges. His laugh chasing shadows. You're building something real, he'd say. Cooking paella on the deck. Ocean crashing below.
love, tentative,
Bloomed, not the frantic fuse of Marcus, but steady current. Yet doubts nipped his articles. Probing too close? Just truth, he'd insist. But in the valley, truth was the sharpest blade. Controversy stalked anyway. The embryo decision leaked. Theo's source? Unclear. But headline screamed, Kane's cruel choice. Erasing a legacy? Protests erupted outside HQ. Signs waving. Babies aren't bargaining chips. Feminists clashed with ethicists. My inbox a war zone. Rita spun damage control. Op-ed in NYT. Reproductive autonomy in the age of betrayal. It worked, sort of. Support surged from survivors. My choice trending. But sleep evaded. Dreams of a ghost child. Green eyes like mine. Accusing. Jamal stepped up. His calm's wizardry turning tide. Viral video of me at a Reno memorial. Unveiling Lila's plaque. Voice breaking. I choose life, mine. Yours.
ours.
No more lies. Views hit millions. Stocks ticked up. But the real gut punch came anonymous. A package at the loft. No return. Inside. A locket Lila's. Lost in the crash. Engraved, sis forever. Note. She'd hate what you've become. M. Marcus. From his cage. Still clawing. I drove to San Quentin at dusk. Visitors' hall sterile as a lab. He shuffled in. Orange jumpsuit mocking his old bespoke. Face gaunt. Miss me? Smirk faint. But there. I slid the locket across.
How?
Old friends. His fingers brushed it. Eyes softening fractionally.
Dell.
The kid. Wasn't yours.
Ours.
And I ended it because you turned creation into control. Words hung.
Raw.
He nodded.
Slow.
I broke us. But you. You're ice now. Lila wouldn't. Don't. Fury cracked. You don't get to invoke her. You buried her truth for your game. Silence stretched. Then his whisper. Guilty. But if I could. Apology died unspoken. Guards signaled end. I rose. Locket reclaimed.
Outside.
Fog swallowed the road. But clarity cut. Forgiveness?
No.
But release, yes. I'd won. Not by destroying him further, but by outliving his poison. Twist unfurled in the unlikeliest bloom. Theo proposed 6 months later. Rings simple, sapphire. Like Reno skies, on a pier at Baker Beach. Waves lapping. Build with me.
Dell.
Not against. Tears blurred the sunset. Yes escaped. Fierce and free. Wedding small. Cliffs at Point Reyes. Jamal officiating with jokes. Rita toasting to queens uncrowned. But the night before, a call, Elena. From her cell. Voice tinny.
Kane.
Truce? Your piece gutted me. But. Respect. Laughter barked for me.
Genuine.
Respect? Earn it.
Click.
No truce needed. She'd fade. A footnote. Pregnancy hit like lightning, natural, unplanned. Theo's eyes wide with wonder. Ultrasounds glowed. Girl. Due July 15th. Rebirth date irony thick. I named her Aria. Breath of new life. Nursery, overlooking the bay. Labor in the Presidio Birthing Center. Pain of Forge remaking me. She arrived screaming. Tiny fists clenched. Green eyes locking mine. Holding her. Past dissolved courtroom. Pills. Betrayal. Into this. Fragile power. Years cascaded. Aria toddle boardrooms. Giggling at code compiles. Delilah Dynamics went public. Me stepping back to advisory. Theo's nonprofit folding ethics into tech. Marcus? Paroled early for rehab. Vanished to Montana. Rumors of a shack. AA meetings. Letters I burned unread. Elena? TED Talk on redemption in ruins. Ironic applause. I watched once. Then deleted. Ghosts quieted. One dawn. Aria on my hip. We watched fairies from the balcony. Mama. Why fog? Her voice. Echo of Lila's. Hide secrets. Baby. But sun always burns through. She nodded. Wise beyond. As if reborn herself. I died own. Unjust. Betrayed. But rose vengeful. Controversial.
Alive.
America's dream. Not rags to riches, but ashes to empire. Tense? Damn right.
Dramatic?
Every breath. And worth it? In her chubby grasp.
Yes.
Always. Epilogue whisper. Sometimes. Late nights. I code alone. Backdoor humming. A final safeguard. Not paranoia. Preparation. Because second chances? They demand third acts. And mine's just beginning.
S.